live. We are live.
Sup, sluts and non-sluts.
It's another beautiful day in hell. This is the ASMR episode because Rose losing her voice. So hi.
Who has whisper of a voice?
A careless whisper.
Right? We will now give you an a cappella rendition of.
Okay, I'll spare you.
Everyone's like, "Oop, unsubscribe. We're done. We're out of here." It's been a couple
How the fuck's
weeks.
everybody been?
Yeah, we're good. No, I kind of needed to get away from my online communities for a minute and just kind of focus on some house stuff. Been focusing a lot on my garden, getting my garden ready. Purchased 24 bags of dirt. This is a lot. I work a desk job.
For anyone that says you can't do work jobs with a RAV4, fuck off.
Right.
Please tell me you slapped those bags of dirt.
Oh yeah.
Obviously.
Oh yeah. Every single one.
They're so bags of dirt are so spankable.
You have to smack them. It's like bags of rice.
Yes. Yep.
We did buy
pumpkins,
a giant bag of
watermelons
recently.
You gotta smack them.
Yeah, pumpkins too. Pumpkins are
watermelons.
Very
Yep.
Smackable.
Watermelons.
You smack your watermelons. Yep.
Oh yeah, watermelons. Yeah. Why do we do that? This is a human behavior. I'd love
Actually,
to.
check. I can tell you. We smack the things to check the density of it to see the quality of it. When you smack a melon, the more low the vibration, the theory is there's more water content, therefore it's more supple and absorb more nutrients, and therefore might taste better. There's like tons of things like that. Like people look for like the yellow marks on like honeydews and stuff, and the really low watermelons. When you smack them, they feel like they're like playing a tenor note. Yeah, those are the ones that we often go for.
Another thing too about watermelons I learned is that like when they have those white spots on them, they're like the most sweetest.
Yes. Yep.
When watermelons have they're the sweetest.
It's similar to honeydew. Yeah.
I do love honeydew. Yeah, we're coming up in honeydew season.
What?
Y'all want to talk about some weird shit?
Yes. Sophia, you wanted to start us off with some weird
shit? I kind of want to just talk about some shit. I had an experience this week where like a friend of mine got ridden by a spirit and like got ejected out of her body, and the spirit had a conversation with me, which was super fucking weird. And I'm not really going to go into the details of it on air because it's like immensely personal. But like also I had a spirit try to ride me and was in my mind and talking to me, and I was like, oh, you're very clearly a spirit because you're not me, and I don't think these types of thoughts normally. And it was like, you got me, essentially. And then we had like weird conversations. And it's so much more common than people realize that spirits like jump into people or affect their emotions, right? And it was like something interesting that me and my friend were talking about. In certain practices, humans will try to ride animals, like they'll project their consciousness into a bird or a fox or some type of animal they have an association with, and they'll ride an animal in that form when they're in like a semi-lucid state, and they'll like fly or run or do whatever they do, right? And it's kind of interesting because it's like gods and spirits try to do the similar things to us. And also, once you really interact with these things, I'm not super into calling them gods because they're very clearly real. They very clearly interact with you and with like your friends and shit. But God is such a loaded term, right? Like, for example, this thing that my friend was ridden by talked completely different than she normally does, referred to my friend as dumb and yappy, like literally straight up said, she is dumb and yappy. I know what she cannot. And I'm like, okay, you're not my friend. What the fuck? Who are you? And I could tell she never said her name directly, but I could tell who she was through the alluded imagery. They really like to speak in metaphor and stories. They really like to be fucking cryptic. I feel like some of them could use therapy because they really they project a lot, and they like look I don't know. Like, I feel like some of these spirits could really spend some time being human because they don't do enough fucking shadow work, in my personal opinion. Because, like, y'all are. Like, for example, the one that rode my
Very much
friend.
reminds me of Lucifer, the show, when
Yeah.
he goes to Dr. Linda for all of his therapy of his daddy issues.
Good lord, I should
Yeah.
watch that.
It's a good one.
But like the one that rode my friend, though, she had to make an agreement with it ahead of time. She's like, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna eat the shitty oven pizza that I'm making, and you're gonna eat that fucking pepperoni pizza, right? So while she was like kicked out of her body and observing it like she's watching it on TV or reading it in a book, there's her body possessed by this spirit, and it doesn't even know how to chew the fucking food. It like bites it off and holds it in its mouth until it gets like soggy and then just like swallows it because it didn't understand the concept of chewing. Like, it's if you understand the animal that it comes from, that it's animal association with, you would completely fucking grok why it didn't really understand chewing.
Yeah.
But yes, think an animal without teeth, essentially. And that's all I'm even allowed to say. So not everything swallows or chews. Some things just swallow shit, right? Actually, it can have teeth, it just swallows. So, anyways, not all of them know how to really even behave in a human body or what a human body is capable of doing or should be doing. And like when somebody gets ridden, sometimes like they wake up really dehydrated and like worn out because the things just don't understand three-dimensional reality the same way that we do. And it's
I
like,
always thought a good example of that, like a good depiction of that, Supernatural kind of depicts that pretty well. Like when people get like possessed by the demons or their bodies become vessels for angels, it's kind of similar because especially the angels, they're like, what the fuck, what do I, because they don't really try to be in human form that often. But the demons seem to like to jump into human bodies. But yeah, I always thought it was a pretty decent depiction of what that must be like.
I'm so close.
Yeah, I haven't watched Supernatural.
I paused watching. I've been rewatching Supernatural recently. I'm trying to actually finish the series, and I'm on season 13 of 15. And the episode that I have coming up, I paused because I want to watch it on my TV. I normally just watch on my phone while I'm working, and I want to watch it on the TV because they get sucked into a TV and they're in Scooby Doo.
Oh my god, no.
Yeah, so it's like a whole animated episode.
All right, I might want to watch that one with you. That sounds kind of.
I figured you would want to watch that one too, so that's why I paused. But yeah, no, the show, well, it is obviously very the show is very Catholic centric, and focus, but they do talk about the pagan gods, they talk about the Norse gods, they talk about all the different pantheons, and even though they tend to take the approach of kill everything, it was television in the 2000s. That was the theme of everything.
I mean, hey, sometimes things got to get their asses kicked, right?
Well, it's funny because I mean we've talked about this before, but like it's not talked about enough. Some of there were oftentimes jobs of mystics and practitioners to soothe or sort of to be like tell the gods like, hey, stop punishing these people, here's these offerings, like chill. We were intermediaries between the world of spirit and the world of the living. Like fairy doctoring and being intermediary between fairy and people, intermediary between God and people. These are jobs that we had. I mean, even with disrespected land spirits. There was a long time where like you didn't build on a piece of property without asking the spirits on the land first, like, hey, here's this thing, I'm going to, a really common one in Europe was something called the Devil's Acre, where you gave the devil a certain amount of square of land that was only his. You never tilled it, you never planted on it, you never touched it, you never put your anything near it. You just let it grow. Some people would even fence it in, and you just never touched it. And it was called the Devil's Acre, and it was for like the land spirits and the genius loci, as an offering. So there's
like
you
call it the Devil's acre, and yet it really is such a sacred. It's just so funny, like the amount of like how Christianity has taken like the devil, right, and like all
Yes.
of the folklore, right, and taken all of these different things, and like they've made the devil just as holy as Jesus, or like they've done this. I find that very
Can I give a
interesting.
quick little mini rant too? Just like it'll be a short tangent. Most of Christianity is just a fucking recycling of the death and rebirth of the solar deity myth that's been like, or not myth, but like story that's in so many cultures throughout all of fucking history, right? Like, not that I fully support everything in it, but I'm reading The Secret Teaching of All Ages by Manly P. Hall, and he does get a little syncretic at certain points, and keeps referencing Blavatsky, and I know she's like persona non grata in a lot of occult spaces because she's like the grandmother of a lot of Nazi rhetoric stuff. But I know there's a lot of people who are also very into what's the school that she created? I can't remember.
Theosophy.
Thank you. I know there's a lot of theosophists who are
I
actually
think I
good people who aren't
have.
like fashy or anything. So like it's a very baby with the bathwater situation, I find. And you kind of have to be careful because a lot of people have like practices they've built up around it. But yeah, it is an interesting book, and it talks about a lot of these like death and rebirth of the solar god and the initiation, and the death and the rebirth of the initiate metaphorically as they like become illuminated and like gain knowledge of the mysteries, you know.
It would have been really cool to be a part of, or a fly on the wall, right? Like go back in time and just like observe. But like all of those interactions between those occultists that we read now, like Crowley, like the Unfortunate, and Blavatsky, and I know a lot of these. Some of these were the exact time, some of them were not the exact time. Like there's different time shifts there. But I think it would have been really cool. But at the same time, though, I'm kind of realizing I'm like they're all kind of full of themselves too. Like you could
May I
like.
submit to you a counterpoint?
Hmm.
You're actually doing it right now. We're undergoing the modern revival of the mysteries, and a lot of the way that this used to be done was in spoken forum spaces, and people doing podcasts, especially live podcasts too, really do create a live forum space for sharing about mysteries and teachings and practices. So, like for all we know, later on, long after we're dead, people might be utilizing this and referencing it as source material. I mean, shit, I'm actually kind of interested in I was talking to y'all about doing the manifesting stuff that I've been doing earlier. Do you want to like do some manifesting to just make and I hate the word manifesting because it's loaded, but it
Right,
is
because it makes
very,
it sound
people
like
get it.
like all
Most
you
of
have
the
to do
time.
is just be like, I'm thinking of pretty blue sky, and this
Okay, but you know what?
thunderstorm will
It
go
actually
away.
fucking can work. I'm seriously though, it actually does work though. That's what's fucked about it. Like I was telling y'all, I was like minus 118 in my bank account 2 months ago, and I was borrowing $50 from my mom to not go negative a month ago. And then I did an exercise, and some shit happened IRL, and now I'm like totally financially stable. And that was the first thing I asked for out of all of the stuff in this meditation I was doing by the Monroe Institute. Right, so we do kind of like side eye it a lot and go, oh, you can just think your way into things changing, but like literally, actually, yeah, you can put a tangible amount of change into things, and it's one of those like real eye openers once you like fucking see how far you can push it. You know what I mean? So like, if y'all are interested, maybe we do some stuff to make the podcast blow up and have it become jobs instead of just passion projects. Because I mean, we put in enough work for it to actually have paid out like it's a job, right?
Yeah,
We've been
yeah.
doing this for how many years, and
I know,
we don't
like
really make any money off of it.
I think about that, like
It ain't about
I'd
making
love to
money.
do like a tour or like an appearance fee, or honestly, what I'd really love is for it to have enough of a, I guess, following that like we could do like a physical meetup, like rent like a
Yeah.
campground or something like that. And but we also have people from like around the world too, so that also makes things a little more difficult. Unless
Hmm.
we like buy a private island somewhere. So support the podcast so we can buy a private island and move everyone there and be happy and start a cult. What? I didn't say that.
I almost think that what we could do, if you're interested, is start a side sub podcast that happens very seldomly. And we keep Witches Betwixt as it is, exactly as it is. But when we interview somebody and do the different type of conversation, put it on that podcast and have it not necessarily be like themed around anything other than just like interviewing cool people who are doing cool things in the witchcraft / queer communities, right? And they don't even have to be exclusive to both of them. Like maybe somebody's just a queer organizer and we want to talk to them, right? Or maybe somebody's like an excellent magician or witch, but they're not queer, but they're doing really good work and we want to talk to them. I feel like that'd be a really cool way of building bridges, right? Because then we still have this exactly as it is. It's the live stream that we do on Sundays, but like occasionally there's other stuff in there too, you know, if y'all are interested. But I don't want to do that without anybody's permission.
I might actually be doing something similar to that with another wider pagan group. Similar,
Okay.
but not. But yeah, it's an idea there, but it's not too much what I would want to talk about on air. I'm also learning now too. I guess I don't want to go into too much detail, but the conversations and instances have come up about circumstances, things and such. Now I feel like you, Sophia, right, being very guarded and careful. But it feel like I never realized, right, like us being very public facing, you know, like we don't really make waves. Like I'm not really trying to come at anyone in the community. You know what I mean? Like we kind of take this stance of like, listen, fact check the fuck out of us, first of all. Okay. Second of all, none of us are rich here, you know. None of us are getting rich off of this. But I guess I realized that, you know, maybe some people don't like us. And it's a weird like thing for me to think about because I'm like, I don't know, like we're pretty cool people, like, but maybe I don't know, some people don't like us for whatever reason, and so I don't know.
By statistic, everybody has somebody who doesn't like them, especially if you put yourself out there. It's inevitable.
I also want to say too, and this is just from personal experience. Something I've talked a lot about in therapy, something I've just talked a lot about just we've personal conversations. But I also think too that neurodiversity sometimes rubs people the wrong way.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of bias around that as well. And they don't take us as seriously. But I also can now, that's not to say that we haven't been wrong about things that we've said. That's not exactly what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about this particular thing right now. But there is this phenomenon where you're not taken as seriously, especially in occult spaces. The ableism in occultism has been it's been a long, sordid history. It's not new. You know, they're not really fond of neurodiverse and mentally ill people in this space. Has it been better? Sure, but as we know as queer people, whenever we say that, it's kind of like, you know,
bar is so
it's
low,
kind of like.
guys.
I'm so sorry.
I was like, the bar is so low. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, when I say it's
like
better, it means like no one's outwardly being like, you're an R word, you know, like
right, right.
Yeah, it's like, oh,
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's kind of like that, you know. It's like, sure, as good as things get, they get worse. You know what I mean? Kind of simultaneously. And I think, you know, like it was only a couple years ago that we had, you know, some prominent names that I don't want to name, but who were discussing, you know, practitioners who were mentally ill weren't capable of being as competent a magician, as effective of a magician, because
now we better
because we were sick inside, and it would reflect in our magic. You know, and the funny thing is that particular practitioner, although I don't think that they feel that way anymore, I think that they recognize the ableism in that, but I actually like them. I read their material. I like what they have to say otherwise. I mean, you know, and that was a long time ago. You know, I don't know them personally, so I you know, and they've never seen them say it since then. But I like to think, because I know that people can change.
Yeah.
And I like to think that that person did too. So yeah, but
what
no,
it
there
is?
really is something to
The
be said
idea of
about
like
that as well.
people can change. Like I would love to almost say like people should change. You should be changing damn near constantly. You should be like not like changing your mind about like, oh, I'm gonna live here now. I'm gonna live. I mean, if you have the means to, go for it, right? But like, not like changing your mind constantly, changing things constantly. It's just like your every experience you have should change. Like, you should make you look at the world differently, and hopefully for the better. But then sometimes things don't change you for the better, especially if they're not good things, right? So,
But
yeah,
sometimes the
you
things that are
should be
not good
changing.
things push us into places to have good things happen too.
True. Very true.
Oh, sure. I mean, like, life continues on. I think, I think it's easy to I don't know what if you want to call it, like, compartmentalize our lives, like where we think like the bad things and the good things are two separate columns, but it's sort of like
Just
one
things.
experience, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's one thing happening on this continuum. Yeah.
Like a trap that sometimes I fall into. Like, oh, if I can just catch up on these things, then I'll be able to get to those things. And it's like, no, they're all intertwined in each other, and so there really is no, there's no separating. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
I work
Like,
like everything is so intertwined now, especially like working from home too. You know what I mean? Like I look right here, like there's my workstation right there. Like there's no separation. The separation is what I do. You know what I mean? Is that mental shift of like, no, I'm not working right now. I'm doing other work. This isn't really work.
This is work. It just has yet to pay.
Right, yeah.
yeah, no, I absolutely. I mean, I know, like, one thing that I know for certain is, and this is, and I know, and I have these really intense. They're not even really daydreams. They're not visions either, but they're really intense. I don't know if you want to call them like this clairvoyant, clear knowings, like sort of daydreams, if you will. Of
Premonitions.
yeah, I guess so.
That's the
Of the
term I use.
shop, of the shop.
Hmm.
You know, of like I was calling it, by the way, I was calling it Betwixt, a cult shop and apothecary, and I was like, I think Jay would love that.
Yeah, sure.
Um,
Sounds good to me.
Betwixt, and um, I know that, like, I know in that part, and I know that for that, I think that us getting out there and, you know, really, really, like, I'm still practicing my whittling and stuff, like, I'm working towards something. I'm working towards, like, I'm looking up how to, like, come by rarer woods, things that I can carve that I think would be really, really helpful for the average practitioner or for the practitioner in general. Um, Sorry for the motorcycles, everyone. It's Philly in the early summer, spring,
Yeah,
whatever.
all
It's
good.
all good.
You need not apologize.
But yeah, I think that the work that we're doing to put in is good. And I think because that's how magic works, right? You have to put in some effort. But I also don't disagree. I think doing collective success work could also be really good. And I also think accepting the fact that, to go back to the point originally being made, is that, yeah, we might not be everyone's cup of tea. I know for certain that I have rubbed other practitioners the wrong way. Um, and Jay can attest that people really like to work on me. Uh, and it's just the way it is. But you want to know something that's funny is that no matter what they do, no matter all these people that get jealous or get pressed about something I've said or a way that I didn't react to something or whatever it may be, they have yet to do what they've wanted to do. Like it has yet to prosper.
Hmm.
And just a hint to those people, because I know that you're watching, unjustified work does not have the staying power you think it does. You're a novice. But and
It's actually deep fucking truth there, and if you don't grok it, then you're fucked. Sorry.
You have to be particularly skilled to make unjustified work stick, and you ain't doing it. So try harder. Harder, daddy. Anyway, but like I said to Darian, if it's not rough, it isn't fun.
I love that lyric.
But,
If it's justified, it's just like pushing fucking dominoes.
yeah, it's really nothing but air. You know what I mean? It's okay.
Also to the people, also to the Jesus Christ. Not Jesus Christ. To the Jesus Christ. No, to these motherfuckers, and you know who I'm fucking talking about, because I'm talking about the same motherfuckers that Scott was talking about. The next fucking time you try something, especially with this fine person right here, don't. Just don't. Okay? Cool.
Rue's been
And I will
in,
just
like,
say-
an attack dog formation for like the past 3 days. What are you saying, Sophia?
I mean,
I have no enemies. I have no enemies. Technically, there are people who view me as their enemy, but I have no enemies.
Yes. I say that all the time. Now, I mean,
There
in
are
my
people I
work, I
don't
will
like.
say my enemies,
Yeah.
unknown enemies, but like
Right.
because they're attacking me. I
Right.
don't attack anyone. I don't go out of my way. I have, I've tried really hard to create a I don't know what you want to say. I don't talk bad about people, like I'll talk about what people have done that was bad, but I don't talk bad about people. There's a difference, right? Like I will say, oh, well, that person was being really cruel to this person. That's fucked up, but it's not the same thing as being like, oh my God, this person didn't know this, or they didn't say what I wanted them to say, so I'm going to curse them, or gossiping unnecessarily. Those are different things. And yeah, I think that I don't really have enemies. I really don't. I have people who call me their enemy, but I don't have them either.
All of my enemies are not humans, okay? They're either literal fucking monsters that are trying to destroy the planet, or they're like thought forms that possess people to do hideous and heinous acts of hatred and like what essentially amounts to human consumption and destruction of other humans. I have beef with all that shit, right? But as far as other human beings, even the worst of people in charge right now are being ridden by spirits that they've opened themselves up to completely. It's why all this shit's happening, right? Like, as above, so below. Like, yes, there's a whole bunch of politics involved, but there's some real fucking thought forms to, if you look at what's going on, right? Like, there's that deliberate meme of, I'm not interested in politics, and how it's been such a fucking psyop. Like, what truly, the only thing that it, like, stops people from liberation at this point is their state of mind, right? Y'all have already been getting fucked more than enough to justify uprising against an unjust, tyrannical government, but people still haven't because it's in the mind, right? It's all thought forms. It's all spirits riding people. It's all. I'm going to take a quote out of the Corpus Hermeticum. Humans become, as this is paraphrasing, humans become what they associate with, right? So if you associate with divinity, you will become divine. If you associate with the natural world, you will become like the natural world. If you associate with the infernal, you become like the infernal, right? These people are actively engaging in knowingly doing evil acts, right? They know that it's evil. They know that it's bad. Some of them are twisted enough to think that it's good, but let's be real, most of them actually know that they're enacting their sick and fucking twisted vision, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's why they open themselves up, right? Just like Scott said, unjustified work is one of the hardest things that you can pull off on somebody. Everybody who's ever hit me basically had some kind of karmic window for the smoke that we've had between us. And after they hit that small karmic window, they were unable to do anything after because there was just nothing there to hit at, right? Also, if there's somebody who acts in service to the universe and does a lot of dedication like that, you're essentially like trying to strike at somebody who's a universal janitor, and that's not a good fucking time for you, right? So like there's a lot of factors involved, but these people have kind of opened up psychic wounds in themselves by doing these things. They've opened themselves up to these forces that they don't really understand, and they get ridden all the fucking time without realizing that they're being ridden, right? And it's why you have people doing such sick and fucking twisted things, right? Because humans aren't necessarily like that in our natural state. Like, we are somewhat violent, and yeah, we have had like violence and problems throughout all of human history, right? But not so bad that we would destroy our whole fucking planet, right?
No.
I mean,
Like,
let's be fair. We could be a little gentle too, as far as like our natural state. Like, look at elephants. Sometimes when elephants are trying to get to a watering hole and they see another animal there, I literally just watched a few videos of it. They'll like purposely bully the other animal out. Like the one animal was like it was kicking at, not like actually kicking the animal. Like, go away. And it like had more than enough room, but it was like, this is my watering hole. Like, it's just, I guess it's just, animal. You know what I mean? Like, there are animal parts of us that we have to accept, but at the same time, we don't have to be monstrous. You know what I mean? And I think there is a difference, right?
And no other animal is capable of destroying the planet at the scale
Right,
we can. And
right,
that's the
exactly.
fucking problem.
That is the exactly.
that's the human part of us that are, you know
Right,
what I mean?
right.
That's the
It's the burden of consciousness, and I always call it that, the burden of being so aware. Not to say that animals aren't aware, because they are, but the level of consciousness, the way in which like Homo sapien is conscious, it is burdensome. It is, like, we're burdened to have this certain level of awareness that is, we're constantly in conflict with ourselves and the world around us and the choices that we have to make, but of
constantly.
course it's made worse because we live, under, where we're in the throes of capitalism and fascism and political upheavals and war and whatever, and those things make it, of course, 100 times worse. So like, if we created a societies, because it really is, this is a globe, we are in a global crisis right now. This isn't just an American crisis, right?
Yeah.
If we created societies that were, I don't know, more habitable for people to exist as people, and not have our the nervous system fight or flight, and we're not all
Constantly.
like
And
reacting,
Mhm.
even
right?
on my own property, I am in a constant state of fight or flight. Just like, because we're butt up on everyone, right? So you're just neighbor, 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 neighbor. There's no separation, right? So you're just on top of everyone, and just even just existing, just sitting outside of my own porch. I'm like, it's a sense of safety to a degree, but also not, because people are very unpredictable, and so people suck. But like, it's I don't know. It's just that idea of like, you can't even fully trust the people, kind of thing. You know.
It really is, it's hard, peopling. It's hard trying to get to know one another. It's harder when you're different. Um, but it's worth a try. I think that it's easy to get really tired, to not want to try to get to know people. I think it's easy. I believe it or not, and I'm not really. I hate to say this, but I'm not really talking about us. I think that different people, we just want to live life, with each other, with other people. We're
Mhm.
very accepting, and I was just watching some guy on TikTok who was watching these group of LARPers in a park, just some random park, and they all decided to LARP together. And he's like, I really want to go join them. I really want to go join them. And everyone all the nerds in the comments are like, go, they'll be happy you're
Go,
there.
yeah.
Just literally go across, they'll like teach you everything. They'll be so excited. And I think that, weird people um are much more ready to welcome other people in.
Yeah.
It's the people who won't let go. They cling to um what they see as these ridiculous outdated social obligations and this corrupt social contract. And a lot of that is why they hate. I think too, like that also has to do with authenticity, which isn't. I mean, outside of misogyny, but I also think is another reason why they hate trans people so much. For instance,
Mm-hmm.
because of authenticity as well, and that comes into play. One could also make that argument for queerness overall. We do have a tendency to just live, you know. Have you ever seen straight people react to queer art? They are completely off put by it. They're very uncomfortable, not necessarily always disgusted, but they're like they're it's confronting to them. And even like for us, it's like yes, you know, like, and they're like it's abrasive, and I don't react to that. I don't, because I see it as something that's happening to them. It's a reaction to something, you know.
Yeah, because it's not
And
something.
I'm
It's
like,
pattern recognition, right? It's something out of the pattern. They don't see that all the time, every day. You know, us,
right,
especially as a queer person, you seek out queer art. You know queer artists. It kind of, you know, your social media, the algorithm works. It does what it's supposed to do. It feeds you things that you want to see. And people
right,
put things on the internet, you know, that other people want to see. So like, you know, that's yeah, that's how it works. But so if you're kind of in your little straight heteronormative, you know, kind of bubble, you're not gonna see queer art across your feed.
right.
But yeah, you're gonna
I,
go,
I,
whoa, that's different.
but to get back to the point, I think that all of these things play into the fact, you know, we're very, 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 very outwardly very queer, and we're very, very proud of it. And we're never gonna like be like, oh well, I could be less queer for you, because that's not gonna happen. Um, and
And
I think that
proud
too.
doesn't mean like like I think sometimes when we were in our youth, maybe we pride with being I'm gay and shouting it from the rooftops. It's like it's not quite that, but it's just like I am queer and no, I'm not changing anything about myself.
Mm-hmm.
Deal with it.
I I watched a really good video actually from a trans woman and how she's saying how why most men actually hate trans women is because traditional masculinity is a fucking cage and a lot of them feel resentful that they're trapped in it and we escaped and didn't adhere to the norms and that's actually why they're pissed off because they feel trapped by pressures that we have completely just fucking thrown to the wind and said nah fuck that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, can we take a second? Can we take a second to go back to where you were saying you were talking about like how here and Philly we're all butt up on each other and that affords some kind of safety, but at the same time it doesn't. And all I could think about was we were quoting lyrics earlier, and I was like, how can you connect in an age where strangers, landlords, lovers, your own blood cells betray?
Mm,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, if there ever was time for a god that might theoretically exist to come back, now sure does feel like it, don't it?
right.
I genuinely it's funny because once again I'm noticing, for instance, the culture the culture surrounding what we do, it's changing again. I don't know if you guys are catching on to that, but there's
In
another
regards to what?
shift.
What's the shift that you're feeling? Because I don't know.
um
I've been in
what
a little
I'm
bit of a
seeing,
bubble. What
no,
I'm
it's okay,
doing.
yeah, what I'm noticing is it's sort of and in some ways I'm confident in it. So it's kind of going a little bit it's bringing forward that mid early 2000s, like when we were really heavy on, we were a little over heavy handed about like academia, like you know, making sure like we were like, you know, we were a little too much about like anti-intellectualism, which no anti-intellectual is not what I'm saying, but we were kind of really mean. You know what I mean? It was like, you have to show us how much you know in order to have a voice in this community. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that
Show me your
thing, but where it's
credentials,
sort
kind
of
of
where
thing.
it's the academic integrity without the ego. And that's coming
Uh,
back.
yeah.
So it's like that part with just without the egocentrism, and that's like rising again. So that's really nice to see. You know, kind of being like there's an expectation, like you know, because the whole like again, I think I've said it on here before about like when we told these it really isn't something, it's we all the whole witchcraft has no rules thing, and it's kind of like we overplayed that way too much, and now they kind of believe it too much, and it's kind of like, okay, what if I told you that that wasn't exactly what we meant to say, that it has no rules, like, you know what I mean, like there are specific systems in which you have to operate under, right? And a lot of them don't recognize that. And
There's such a good fucking video about this by CJ the X where they talk about art in regards to this. How people say there's no rules, but there absolutely is, and they say that because they're already really practiced on it, and they feel like they can use all the stuff to make whatever they want. But to somebody who's coming in, they are not going to be able to just do the there's no rules shit and understand how to actually make viable art with it. Shout out CJ the X. I just don't know which video it is off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm. And I said this. I actually was talking to a practitioner who I really respect, via Hedra. Um, she has a wonderful blog. I think we've posted it probably before, but I could post it again. And I was talking about technically she was asking a question really about intuitive practice versus like a learned practice, but it kind of applied because I was like, in order for you to have an intuitive element to your practice, you have to be learned in the system or systems that you're practicing. You can't get creative with a system that you don't understand.
Yes.
So if like you can get creative once you know what you're taught, like once you understand the system like as is, and then you can then you understand exactly what's happening within that system, and then you can go on to be like, oh, okay, I can do it this way and it's still going to come out to the same answer, right? Then you're allowed to get creative with it. That is not what we see. It hasn't been what we've seen in a while. And I know that oftentimes I can sound like the grumpy old traditional witch, like, damn kids,
Yeah,
but at the same time, like, the damn kids, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's really just because we've worked really hard for it. And what I've come to realize is it's not an ageist thing. It's a respect thing. It's not just a respect thing, it's an expectation. I've worked hard. All of us have worked hard. I expect for you to work as equally as hard and to stop asking me how to do all, like, there are questions that they ask and I'm like, I'm not giving that to you, not because I can't, not because the answer, not even because it's like a mystery, but because it's there for you to read.
Readily
It's
available.
Right. That's, like you need to put in some effort here. And I yeah, put in a little bit, put in a lot of effort.
I think maybe for younger kids, and I think this is the other thing too is, right. So a lot of people in our age group and even older tend to have been, I don't know, quote unquote good students maybe in school, some of us.
Sometimes, yeah.
Right? We like to learn. We are people, we showed up to learn shit. All right, cool. Some of us went on to other schooling, this, that, and a third. So I think part of it is like, yeah, we like to learn shit, right? I am tying a lot of things together right now because, Scott, you mentioned it before, how kids can't write essays.
They can't. They're reading at a 5th grade level and in like 10th grade.
Yeah, and they can't write essays. And I saw a TikTok video, whatever kind of thing, pushed across one of my feeds, and it was this young person, probably high school, maybe into college, and they were like, "Oh my god, like I don't know how you guys wrote 600-word essays without ChatGPT." and I think
600 word? Try fucking 2,000. Come on. Like, what are
Right.
you talking about 600 word essays?
Right, and I think my head spun around about 4,000 times. I think my head spun around 600 times, just thinking about that, because I was like, 600 words, that's a warm-up. That's a,
That's like a couple paragraphs. What the fuck is...
that's barely
bro,
a
have you
page.
never just sat down with a page and just typed out stream of consciousness shit about stuff? You ever blogged before? Like, everything's a muscle. You got to use it, right? And that's also part of the problem. Like, I love audiobooks. I do. But even with them, they atrophy my ability to read physical books a little bit. But also, they allow me to grok books that I just can't otherwise. Like, for example, again,
Yeah.
Manly P. Hall, Secret Teachings of All Ages is extremely informative, but it is like reading sandpaper, okay? It is gritty, it's
Blob.
just minutia, and it's various different grain grits of sand, right? So you're gonna get a lot out of it. You can file shit away. You can like really sand down that staff that you're working on, right? And you really will be able to draw a lot of connections between the mysteries of the world after, right? But it's 32 fucking hours. Have you seen how big that fucking book is in real life? I got that when I was like 18, 20 as one of my first books after I read Occult Science or Hidden Forces by Manly P. Hall that a friend actually stole from somebody and like gave to me to read. It was funny, and then he burnt it later because he was like super paranoid about the Illuminati and shit. Because there was like an invitation. He had an original like first edition, and there was an invitation hidden in the appendix. If you wrote like a letter to a specific address, you could actually go to join the mysteries of who this was with. But also, when the book was written, it was around the 1920s, so you're not gonna have that be active in fucking 2010 or whatever. There, my guy.
It's like a
And
Walmart
he
now.
literally burnt a fucking first edition copy of Occult Sciences or Hidden Forces by Manly P. Hall because there's an invitation in the appendix under the like they have definitions of words, and it was under magi or like magician, right? Under that, they literally say like if you'd like to join, send a written letter with your willingness to follow through to this address, and then it says like postcards gain no attention, right? So like it was a really rare old school book, but
Cool.
I digress. I like went. I got given the Secret Teachings of All Ages, and it's like a fucking 3 inches thick, and it's like 900 pages or some shit. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a hot minute. And the audiobook is 32 fucking hours long, right? But when I'm at work and I'm doing those jobs where it's like 12 hours sitting in like watching fucking cables or whatever, and there's nobody to talk to and no work to do. Yeah, I got a fucking audiobook playing sometimes on my bone induction headset, right? And I'm gonna fucking learn while I'm at work. So like you plug through 32 hours pretty fucking quickly when you're at work fucking taking out garbage bags on a film set or whatever, right? Although like no, actually if I was actually pulling garbage bags on a film set, I'd never have it on because there's like way too much going on. That's just like when you're remote and shit. But like
Yeah, when you're just kind of chilling for place.
But audiobooks, they have their place, but you still got to read, right? Like we live in a kind of a golden age of witchcraft where I couldn't imagine like 20 years ago having spoken audio versions of stuff by like Matt Oren and Laura Tempest Zakroff. And I'm looking over to try and like read some names off my shelf other than the two off the top of my head.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is a lot of the information. So it's like witchcraft comes with homework. Sorry. Paganism comes with homework. Studying anything that is not a mainstream normie sort of one of the big three Abrahamic kind of faiths comes with homework. It really does.
Yes.
Because and you know what, I would even argue to say if you want to be an actual devout any one of those Christian faiths or whatever, that also comes with homework. You have to study your
because
scripture.
you'd probably be better at it if you actually studied your religion,
Right.
which is
actually. I had a conversation with a friend about that. Most Christians haven't even read the Bible, where like most Catholics can casually sit you down and summarize every fucking section because we were forced to read it.
I've become more okay with the Catholic Church over time, because one, I'm maturing, but two, like Rue has a lot of connection and stories to from it, and and it's for family affairs and stuff. I find myself in them more frequently and stuff like that. And also, I watch Conclave, and even though that is a fictional movie, I feel like the Catholics are witchy as fuck. I think
So
that's
good.
Yeah,
cool.
it's
I would love
it's
to.
actually straight up very fucking ritual. Like the
I
hymns that we used to
think
sing in Latin.
this
Sorry, go ahead.
might sound a little crazy, but I think had I been born cis, I may be a priest. It is very, very possible because I was
I
obsessed.
almost became a nun, so.
Right, as a kid, I was obsessed with priests. Like I thought I was like, that's a cool job. You get to work for the church, you get to help people, you get to dress in the cool thing. You got the book, you got the incense, you got the candles. That's cool. Like I didn't care that they weren't rich or they didn't drive sports cars. What I get to help people and make people feel good and talk to God every once in a while. That sounds awesome.
I actually find that a lot of witches who were raised in Catholicism or Christianity were extremely devout before they had a fracturing point with the church. Like I was as well, and I would have totally been a priest had the Catholic Church not actually been what the Catholic Church is. Like, let's just be fucking real for a second.
Right.
But yeah, it's super fucking ritualistic. You have like these like periods like Lent where they're asking you to give up stuff and do like prostration. You have to confess. You do like Palm fucking Sunday, and then you have like ritual consumption of the bread and drinking of the wine, and like you're singing hymns in Latin, like Kyrie.
Yeah, like that shit's cool. Objectively cool. What occultist wouldn't be interested in that?
Ex-Catholics usually.
Right, yeah. It depends on how you reacted to it initially.
It's funny too. I actually saw something very fucking funny, and I'm gonna put a meme spin on it. The meme was how much ex-Catholics end up liking Warhammer 40k because it's basically like Catholicism but metal as fuck. And I'm like, holy shit, this is true, right? But I would actually take that one step further and say that ex-Catholics either go into like witchcraft hardcore or like Warhammer 40k or like some kind of kink. Like we like pick a multi-class after we're ex-Catholics. You know what I mean?
And it is funny because like I did originally come from the bit of church experience I did have as a kid was in the Catholic Church, and so yeah, I just think that's kind of funny. I did want to draw my attention to the chat really quick. So Dawn was saying in the chat, so as a Gen Z, I can say I have seen the quality of education go downhill rapidly. I've seen it in what my elders can do that I was never taught. And they were also saying like we don't read to our kids anymore. They were saying that their mom read to them, but not their brother. And so Dawn likes to read, but brother doesn't. My mom read to me. She did say that to me. She's like, when she was pregnant with me, she did read to me. She read all kinds of different books, and then also like as a young kid, she kept reading, and very very early on, I took to reading and looking through magazines. So I was trying to read long before I could read. My sister also likes to read.
I feel that.
Yeah. My sister also likes to read, so we are very big into reading. But that's the other so there's an issue here, right? Is like there's no one person to blame in the decline of education. So if you are not into school, if school doesn't excite you, like if it doesn't excite you to read a history book and like maybe learn something about like, oh, that's a neat fact. Even the most boring snooze fest history classes have interesting facts in them. Like if you're not good at school, like I hate to break this to you, but you got to get a little good at it to understand magic, witchcraft, the occult. There's a lot to learn.
Can I also just say as well that there's a lot to do. I mean, I can only speak to the American education system because it's the only education system I've ever been in.
Yeah.
But I want to say that school used to be fun, and the more time has gone on, and the more the capitalist hellscape has infiltrated our schools with those stupid tests that fill in the bubble, like the random. Those things which are only tests. By the way, those tests are really just for money for schools.
Yeah.
Well, really they're really for money for the school
Multiple choice.
You know, they're not for the school themselves.
Yep.
Scantron, whatever the hell. They're not even really for the school itself. Often the school doesn't even see, not even an ounce of that money anyway. When education stopped being fun is when people stopped taking interest. You cannot make learning boring. Learning is already hard for a lot of people. Now, I love to read. I grew up my mom reading to me. Me and my mom used to write this really fun fantasy story together. Like, we would spend an hour and 30 minutes some nights writing this really cool story about this family of witches, and it was cool. And so me and my mom were really engaged in that stuff. I used to go to book readings at this called Kim's Corner here, and it was fun, and I would it was great. But my school was
Kim's
fun.
Corner too.
Really?
Well, it's actually Kim's Convenience here. I just realized. But go ahead.
But it was a small bookstop. But anyway, what was I saying? I remember during Halloween, we would have our Halloween parade was we had to read the book and do a report. So you would have the book and your little report on a piece of cardboard or whatever, and you would dress up as a character from the book you read and did your report on. And it was so much fun and everyone loved it. Mm-hmm. Now we can't fucking dress up in schools anymore because Christians got mad. My kid can't celebrate Halloween.
Yeah, I remember a thing that sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it just we've I don't want to go on a big tangent because but we've catered too much to them, I think.
I remember an assignment I had as a kid that very much got everybody involved, where you had to pick a song and it fit a prompt and whatever, and then everybody had to play the song to the class and then explain why the song fit their essay and stuff. And a lot of people didn't like mine because I chose Jimmy / Jambi by Tool. If you know, it's it starts off very carnivally and then it goes and it's very heavy and everybody was like, what the fuck is this? I technically chose 2 Tool songs because I was that kid who was doing esoteric shit when I was in fucking high school, and I was like, let's get to listen to Tool, but I'm gonna do Anima because it's my favorite album.
I'm gonna make you guys listen to this 10-minute Tool song, so buckle up, Buttercup.
Actually, it was closer to 8 minutes, thank you. But the teacher was like, this fucking bitch picking her long ass Tool songs. But yeah, actually, you have to keep education entertaining. But also, here's another thing too that I want to touch on. I feel like we've lost the plot on what education means, right? Because in Western society, we always think about it as fucking academia, right? When in almost anything that's not in centralized capitalist society, you're learning from everybody all the time. You're learning from your elders. Fuck, if you work in the trades, you're learning from your coworkers all the goddamn time. I work in film, and the best motherfuckers I learn from are other sharp PAs and ALMs who know what our job is and how to do it. And I work with exceptional people, like some of the who I think are some of the most skilled people in our department in the industry. They're great at what they do. I take tips from them and they take tips from me, and nobody's better than anybody else because we're learning together, right? We all share. And there are some people who are truly venerated masters. They've done that fucking work. We used to have more dialogues with elders. We used to talk to more grandparents, we used to talk to more older siblings or friends about this stuff. Learning magic isn't meant to just be done in books. That's what makes it feel very dead and very rigid. It's meant to also be an oral tradition in a lot of ways. And this is why I very much say you've got to have your books. You got to be able to have your patience to read your books, because nobody's going to put the fucking Corpus Hermeticum and Asclepius into an audiobook. And if they do, you're going to have to pay for them separately. And you're going to have to pay a lot of money to get both of them, right? Instead of just actually, no, this book's fucking $80. You're probably going to spend more on getting the book with all the fucking shit behind it anyways. But some stuff you just can't get an audiobook. But if it's something so dry that you can't read it, but you can listen to it, fucking do that. Because that's always how tradition was. When something was too complex to sit down and read about, people always went and talked to their teacher or the person they were learning from. right? Because there's no sense in reading something if you don't understand what it's telling you, right? And sometimes you need to have a conversation about the semantics and the underlying syntax of the words and how they apply. Or sometimes like your teacher needs to give you like a riddle or a cone or something to like make you actually ponder it, right? Like I think our biggest problem, and I fucking preach this a lot, but I'm going to come back to it, is that we've really divorced modern culture and modern society from the mystical practice and the mysticism itself, right? Because that's where a lot of philosophers were. That's where a lot of higher learning took place. Like fucking Plato and like philosophers, all of that shit was considered mystic at the time, right?
Yeah.
And now like
we would
we
be
put it
like,
into this,
oh, bunch of guys sitting
Plato,
around talking about
yeah.
philosophy and shit, make some real money. You know, like that's that's what that
I
would be
like
back then.
triangles. I know
It's
about the
like
Pythagorean theorem.
yeah, it's like in what that Mel Brooks movie, History of the World. You know, he's filing for unemployment. I'm a stand-up philosopher. Oh, you're a bullshit artist. No. I'm a philosopher. Have you bullshitted today?
Good lord.
Oh.
Yeah. But in the
Good
end,
lord.
I guess for me to draw it back to, you know, the people who listen, the people who haven't listened yet, and the people who won't listen, right? I think the goal should be really on how to make ourselves accessible to young people, how to make it so that way they're enjoying themselves. You know, I want the younger practitioners to feel when they come here that you know, I'm not trying to talk down to them. I just, you know, I get a little frustrated, sure, but it's I don't hate them or anything like that. It's I want them to have the same drive that when they move to a new neighborhood and they're, you know, they find their local old cemetery. I want them to have the same drive to go knock on the gate and leave an offering and be like, hey, I want to, you know, make some relationships in the cemetery, you know, and they go to that strange legend statue, you know, that sits in the middle of the cemetery with a spirit inside of it that, you know, it's full of folklore, but real, you know, and like, I want them to have the get up and go to be like, you know, I'm giving you this libation and these offerings and begin, you know, I want them to have the drive to do those things, to go about and talk to the land spirits and do the work that we do. And I want to make the as accessible as I can for people. I'm not interested in being palatable to everyone because that's just silly and a pipe dream. You know, but I definitely want to be accessible to people who maybe have a hard time and being a bunch of neurodiverse queer people. I think we could do that.
Something that I've been thinking about is like, what do I do? Like, what do I do? What do you do if someone who is completely new to paganism, completely new to the concept of magic, completely new to the occult, they come to you and say, "I want you to, you know, like I want to learn, I want to, you know," and I keep thinking about that, and I'm like, I could teach someone, but I'm like, how would I exactly go about, you know, like that's where I'm starting.
If you're
to formulate
interested,
now.
I have a 101 document I actually wrote up because I've been teaching psionics class. And it's not, when you're teaching psionics, if you're trying to actually teach it well, you have to teach magic at the same time because it's all kind of the same thing anyways.
Yeah.
So I have tons of document actually explaining the theory behind stuff. But the problem actually becomes that people, you can accelerate somebody through the theory quicker than they can actually actuate it, because what people actually often need is types of practices. So, like, what I've actually been trying to do lately is get people to, like, use the Expand app from the Monroe Institute to, like, do meditations and, like,
Not
do their works
sponsored,
on
by
it
the
and
way.
write down journals. It's not, no. Although, like, shout out, I would love to work with the Monroe Institute.
Maybe we could look into
or,
something.
like, you know what's funny? They're only, like, 10 hours away from me, and I'm absolutely planning to go there in the future when y'all have your fascism fucking knocked out.
Yeah.
But I can't go there until that happens, right?
Yeah, I know. No, trust me.
They're only 10 hours away from me, though. They're in, like, I think it's Virginia or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like
far from
driving
us.
distance for all of us, basically.
Yeah.
And like their courses seem expensive because it's like a couple $1,000s for some of them, but it's like you're staying there with room and board and your meals provided to you, and like some of the things have like RMT and like saunas and shit, so it's kind of like a vacation package dealio, except you do like psychic practices and shit, and
But in order to be
I'm actually super
open,
interested in it.
but like in order to have a great psychic experience, I think you'd want to be very relaxed and whatnot. So I think like because like sometimes I'm like with Sacred Space when we went to that. No, there was no like massages at Sacred Space or anything like that. But I was like, is this just like going to a con, like a fur con or like an anime
Which con,
convention? I was like,
basically.
is this the same caliber of thing? And I was like, while it is, yes, like, is it a vacation? Sure. Yeah, we're getting out of town, this and that. Like, we're relaxing. But it was also work. And I
It
think
was a
that
lot of
was the
work.
difference. Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, I came home and I felt good. I felt good
Mhm.
about what we had accomplished, but like when I tell you when you were in sacred space for like a long period of time, I've never been held in like ritually consecrated space for such a long period of
Like,
time.
yeah, for 3 days, basically.
For 3 days,
Yeah.
like everything you do in a space like that is magical. So like everything was very intentional, and it was like every class, every conversation, every good morning, how you doing, and at the end, at the beginning of the day, and the hey, good night, it was good to talk to you in the evening, was like it all felt like this sort of act of magic underneath of that, you know that cloak of sacredness. And I think that that's one of the reasons why, like, yes, it definitely is like a convention, it's a vacation, but it was I mean, I know I joked about it, I was like, but it was wizard school, it was magic
Right.
school, it was.
Yeah.
I want to add to that. Society used to operate like that too. We used to have temples that held continual ritual space
Yes.
where people could be at, and places of worship like that. And like indigenous societies all around the world have like multiple day ceremonies where they're putting an intent and they're doing like very involved processes, right? Like ceremony it's like you're describing, there is work to it. It's all, you're in a very intentional space. And I know I'm making a lot of generalizations about a lot of different cultures here, but like it does seem to be a universal truth that we all had ceremonies regardless of where you came from, and those ceremonies were divorced from people to get them to adhere to modern society. Like that's why they co-opted like traditions of like the different European sun gods who were reborn on the 21st or 25th of December into fucking Jesus's birthday, right? Who's also died and reborn, but that happens at Easter. It's a totally different time, you guys. Totally not the same thing at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And society used to just be like this, and I would say that, yeah, it is a con on some level, a convention, because people are coming together and you're paying for that, and it is a little bit like a vacation, right? But just like the Monroe Institute, it's not a regular space. It's liminal, it's intentional, it's that actual crack in the world. It's that drawn up circle where you manifest intent, right? And we're seeing the resurgence of the mystery schools in live time right now. Like there's another podcast I listened to, Bledsoe Said So. I'm very interested in it because I have a lot of UFO stuff that intersects with their experiences, and it's tied up in a whole bunch of synchronicity. I'm not going to explain it on the podcast, but like they talk about that a lot too, how we're seeing like the resurgence of the modern mysteries, and how we're seeing a rise in like modern mysticism, even like in like comedians and stuff. Like y'all saw, it was a couple years ago, but Midnight Gospel on YouTube. It was that podcast that they animated, and like literally Duncan Trussell is the guy who voices Clancy. He interviews his mother while she's dying in a hospital, right? And like that's so one for the ages, right? Like that show is so one of a fucking kind. I would absolutely love to see a second season, but it's so incredibly esoteric, and they got a studio to fucking fund that, right?
They did an episode with Damien Eccles.
Mm-hmm.
Damien
Right.
Eccles, they did an entire episode in which Damien Eccles plays this sort of seemingly animistic, like, and in my opinion, very almost fairy-like being as they're traveling under this ruins in the water, and he's explaining consciousness and meditation and magic, and he's explaining and I don't necessarily know if I agree with everything he said, but Damien was basically saying that like what occultism does, it takes what Buddhism does but makes it happen in one lifetime. That's
I
kind
would
of
also
what he was
say
doing.
That's good.
there's nothing more evident of somebody being a practitioner and actually caring about what they're doing than listening to what somebody has and also having nuanced disagreements, right? Because at the end of the day, we're all philosophers in our own right. We all have our own views of how this world works and how our practices intersect with everything. We will naturally disagree with people on minute points and different things, but we still have camaraderie between people who are working the same currents with us, right? Like, I know tons of people who say stuff that I'm like, I don't necessarily agree with that point, but like the majority of what they say I do like, right? And people are so baby with the bathwater these days, where if somebody says a couple things that they don't like or a couple things that they don't agree with their worldview, then they might just immediately eject them, right? And sometimes due to this, like sometimes the severity of what's being said, actually in all times the severity of what's being said should indicate whether or not you eject somebody. Like if they're spouting like outright fascist rhetoric, yeah, eject that fucking prick into the sun, right? But like if somebody's like accidentally picked up a brainworm, it's more helpful to have a dialogue with that person or understand that they're a human being and we're all working with imperfect systems to better ourselves right now in a world that is actively trying to disempower all of us, right? Have fucking space for everybody else and like remember that you as well are a philosopher and a mystic and you will be a teacher when you're older, whether you fucking like it or not, because that's what the universe does to you. You either die or you become a teacher, right? And I'm already fucking teaching people at this point now. So give me my cane or my staff, I'm getting old.
And don't
No,
forget, but even when we're gone, they're still going to be conjuring us back, being like, "Hey, I need to talk to you."
I'm like, we did years on the podcast. What more do you want from me?
I mean, like, see episode number 130.
652.
Conjuring us all together at the same time for like spiritual podcast episodes.
Fuck. Yeah, I wanted to say shout out Duncan Trussell because that guy is like, if I could interview anybody on the podcast, I'd love to pull that guy in because he's so fucking esoteric and he has the funnest fucking voice to listen to. Like, I don't know if you've heard him before, but he sounds like just like he's got like a really cool, creaky voice and like the stories he tells sounds really magical. It's like kind of like hearing it from a wizard, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, I know what you mean.
that's like my dream interviewer.
It's funny because I was very impressed with, because I saw the clip of that particular episode with Damien Eccles and I was like, wow. Like, I mean, like, I was like, this was actually on like TV, like anybody could have watched it, you know? And I don't, and it made me like, what did people think, like, what did they feel when they heard that, like what, I don't know.
Some people.
I was very
That's what I
curious.
want to do.
The
Sorry, go ahead.
the reaction that upsets me the most is like some big esoteric or philosophical statement happens, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm chewing on it and I'm digesting it. I'm like, wow, that was some serious shit. And then you turn to someone and you're like, what did you think about that? And they're like, eh. And you're like,
Yeah.
motherfucker.
They're like, I don't know,
what?"
man. And it's like,
You're like,
how did you not fucking just like not shit your pants intellectually when you heard that, right? Like,
Or they're
what's
like,
going
I
on
don't
in your
get it.
head?
Yeah, it's like, I don't get it. And you're like, what? What do you mean? Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
reaction that always makes me go, I'm so
But like,
sad.
that's the type of shit I want to bring into the world. Like, I had somebody ask me what my end goal for working in film is, and honestly, if I could do anything, I'd probably get into like weird animation and shit. Like, think Adult Swim and all the crazy shit they've funded. Like, there's
Yeah.
a video I always think about, and it was when I was done dying. Okay, and it's like literally a video about somebody writing down their experience of like dying on hallucinogenics and like having his face peeled off, and they animate the whole fucking thing, and it's this crazy song and production. You can just find it on YouTube, right? And Adult Swim like put that on the live air, and I'm like, this is the shit I want to do with my life. Right? I want to use art and animation and film to and podcasts, because this is like part of what I fucking love doing. I love talking to people. I love having these conversations. Right? We all have something to give with this. Like, I would fucking love to see us in the future actually making like animation art and like collaborating with other people and like sharing ideas, because like how long have all of us been practicing? Like, I started when I was in like grade 5 trying to move fucking sticks with telekinesis in the fucking field, and had like astral projection by the age of like 11, 12. Right? Like, we've been doing this for fucking 5 ever. Right?
21 years.
Yeah.
I've been practicing magic in one way or another for 21 years.
Let me actually count it. Wait, I'm older than you, so I'm not actually one-upping you if I have more time. So
No, you're fine. It's okay.
How old are you again, Scott? You're the youngest of us, but I forget.
I'll be 34 in July.
Okay, I'm only 2 years older than you. Okay. I technically started when I was like, I want to say 12, so it'll be 13 years. 10, like, I wouldn't say the 10 to 11 doesn't really count. 12 is when I was like really studying psionics and like meditating on Kundalini shit and like that. So that's when I'll fucking pick that date, and I'm 36
The only
this
reason
year.
I count the 10-year-old thing was because I've been seeing ghosts longer than I've been like long before I had my first friend. So
I ain't throwing you no shade, Scott. I could actually 10 is about the age where I really started, right? Because grade 5 I am in 10 years old, and that was when I started meditating and trying to do freaking telekinesis. So the act of practicing has been done since 10, and the act of studying has been done since 12. So yeah, we've been doing this a fucking long time, right? We have a lot to offer.
I think so. I think
So,
that yeah.
I was like, if we're counting from, I was like, are we counting? I was like, practicing only like 7, but I was like, first ghost, that was 6. So that was
Childhood shit, yeah.
29 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen some spooky stuff.
Also, I just have to
spooky
interrupt with a
things.
completely random off topic. It's fucking happening. I just placed a goddamn order on Temu. I know you're not supposed to use it, but it's where I get all my nail shit. It's super cheap. Except it's not super cheap anymore because I added like $40 worth of items, and I went to check and I checked out, and it was $80 after tariff charges. So it literally doubled my fucking amount.
Sorry, y'all.
I was just unfortunately I was just watching there's a conjure shop somewhere in Texas, and the proprietor was talking about seeing the tariffs on their product. It was bad, and they were like,
Literally charged me twice my order. Like my
yeah,
order was
they were
40 and
like,
it charged me 80.
if you're at all a practitioner, they're like, please buy local, please support your local occult shops because we will go away. And we already don't have enough. So please don't let occult shops go away if you're able.
Yeah, we are trying to I'm trying to build the store, build the shop that we want out of peace and calm, and we will build it as the pace that it needs to go. But also simultaneously, I am like, we are in desperate need of a really good occult shop, particularly in this particular area that we're in, because we only have the one that everyone knows, and it ain't that great.
There's nothing in Philly. There's really, I mean, well, there's nothing. I mean, there is, but it's not,
literally Garland and Harry's. That's it.
There's a couple.
There are some really good botanicas, but they're very tradition specific.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, you can go there to buy your candles and stuff, and that's fine. But I really want I need something for the way I want to run Betwixt is something for everyone. You know what I mean? I want like people in Philly to be able to feel seen. We're a very, very diverse city, and I need Betwixt to represent that.
Yeah,
yep.
It's a supply shop. I don't care what you're doing. Here's the black candles. There's that. Over there, you'll find some other stuff. You know, there's your rusty nails. You know, I don't care what you're doing. There it is.
You know, watch this become y'all's actual like career jobs and not
That's
just like
the
your
plan.
side shit. Because like real talk, when somebody's heart's truly in something and they absolutely love what they're doing, like I know all of us do in regards to this, y'all are gonna have some fire fucking products and people are gonna be coming to you, and it's always so clear when the person who owns your occult metaphysical shop actually fucking practices themselves. You know what I mean? Like it's plain as night and day. Like there's two shops in Toronto. Shout out the Hermit's Lamp and the Occult Shop. No shade at anybody else there. A lot of them are pretty good, but you can tell those fuckers practice because every single book in the Hermit's Lamp, they don't have just like stock books bought that are new. It's like all old books and like a really rare collection, and like some are in glass cases because they're so old. And I'm like, yo, there's like 100 books in here I want to fucking buy. I could like blow through $1,000 and not even fucking blink and have those
Yeah.
books and just be like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And like the occult shop, they're exactly like what y'all are talking about. They've stocked for everybody and they serve a really diverse community, and shout out to them because they've been doing it for like over a fucking decade now, I think. And like they do the pagan pride shit out here just like y'all do, and you're like already on it with the community just like they are. It makes too much sense, you know? Like y'all been building to something and I feel it coming, you know, and I feel like let's just put some focused intent behind it between like the podcast and the shop and shit. Like we don't need to work no fucking basic ass non-magical jobs no more. We are to the point where we get to fucking actually make practicing our living because we know too much to just be fucking picking up rocks or whatever. No shade if you're picking up rocks, right?
Yeah. No, I feel that because when I'm at work, I'm like, clicky, click, tap, tap, tap. Fuck this. You know, like, I can't believe I'm wasting my fucking brain and energy on this when I could be
You're so much
doing
more
so
talented.
much more. Exactly. Like, I have so
It's
much more
like
to do.
asking a painter to fucking do a janitorial job. I love janitors. They make society fucking go round. And there's people who are amazing and happy doing that, right? I mean, fuck, I clean up garbage on film sets. I literally have to pick up garbage off the fucking ground, okay? And I love it because I'm involved in something I really care about, and I want to make sure that we leave behind a good impact for the neighborhoods when we leave it. I literally pick up garbage and I'm fucking happy about it. That's how I know I'm doing the right shit, right?
Exactly.
Like, you are too passionate and too smart and too good at what you do, all of us, to just be wasting away it's something that we have no passion behind.
100%.
And the same goes for our audiences, right? Like use what you have now to keep you afloat and get you going, but get somewhere where your passion and what you're good at is actually what is the center of your world and where everything else comes from, right? And it's a gradual process and it's fucking hard, and like it doesn't happen overnight. I'm fucking 36 and I still haven't gotten anything like that in my life, but I'm still building to it, right?
Still working
And
on it. Always.
you'll get there. And I'm fucking absolutely gonna get it. I'm so much closer than I've ever been. And so are we all, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, every time, you know, like that's the whole point of progress, right? Like you can't, you have to celebrate every win, no matter how big or small. You know, you have to stay focused, stay the course, and keep going. And I think that's important for us to remember that too, because like I said, I dream about the Betwixt shop. Like I have dreams about it. I think about it all the time. I'm always looking up like, you know, how do we avoid as much as possible, like how do we avoid like the big like the what the what do they call the whatever box stores where like you
Like the big
purchase
box
like
stores, yeah.
big box stores where you like the metaphysical big box stores where you like purchase like all the
The
same
wholesalers.
mass produced stuff over and over and over again. Like I'm like, how do we avoid that as much as possible?
I have
You
a
know?
solution for that already. It's called "We will accept your gently used items, and we will have a buy-sell sort of, because take advantage of the fact that there's a lot of people out there with 17 different wands and 14 different athmes, and they're like, you know what, I should down. And we'll say, hey, that's great, and you could bring all your stuff to us. You could donate it, or maybe we could do like a store credit thing, or something, or like a free class, whatever. But in exchange for your gently used items, which we will then
Aw.
ritually cleanse, Yeah, I would like to do that.
That'd be
Instead
fun.
of like, because yeah, I want to sell things like wands, athletes, like tools, right? Supplies, tools, but I don't want to get them from newagesupplies.com. I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I refuse. I will die on that hill. And if we
Yeah.
just don't have Athames and stuff, we just don't. We'll get some. They'll come. Not right now. That's
Yeah,
all.
I
To
agree.
be
Like,
hand forged.
Yeah.
that too would be cool if there
I
was a blacksmith who was interested in that kind of thing.
There are plenty. I have a whole database of vendors that I can now work. And that's the other thing too, is I don't want to just be
That's
like, I want to
true.
carry other people's products too, and be like, hey, make me how much for a batch of this? Amy, I want a wholesale package of tea, like stuff like that. So
I have a
yeah.
jeweler who wants to do a line of what you call it, like the pentacles on it, like on appropriate metals and such, and do
That would be a great
the
person.
rings as well, the rings of Solomon on like the appropriate metal.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Get me a 6 of Mars ring on silver and shit and have it anointed in Mars oil.
That's exactly what he wants to do. He wants to do that so you could
Not enough
purchase.
6 of Mars.
But yeah, um,
The gradual process.
it is, and I of course am practicing my whittling so I can make my effigies, which I'm really proud of. I am also like looking for ways to source cemetery yew wood because I really want to do I would love to do an anatomically correct skulls out of yew, which is a tree of death. And if they came from a cemetery, that would be even cooler. The wood would be impregnated with that virtue and that force. And yeah, it's something that, because it's funny. I was like, if I could get enough, I'd keep one of them for myself and sell 2 of them in the shop.
I was gonna say one for me and the
One for me
rest
and
for
2 for
we.
other
2 for
people.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel that too. Like there's some the one of the big skeleton
Hand carved
keys that I
effigies.
got. I was like, this one's for me. It's really for fried, but it's really for me. I was like, I'm gonna pull this one.
Right.
But we are coming up on an hour and a half. We've been blathering on for a while. I did want to give a quick shout out to Sage and Kai and Dawn. We're all in the chat.
Hi.
We
Thank you
love
so
y'all.
much for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
We love this, or else we wouldn't keep doing it. I mean, sometimes like we're tired as fuck when we get together, and life is hard and everything. But we're here, we're queer, and we're not going anywhere. We do
And
have.
soon you'll see more of us.
Yes, and for all the talk we've talked of, this wanting to be our full-time jobs and whatnot, if you are able to help make that happen, that'd be cool. But yeah, if you have some couple extra dollars and you want to support the podcast, just like help us with hosting fees and stuff like that, we have a Ko-fi page. Yes, Ko-fi, not Patreon. Ko-fi.
This is what you look like when you donate to coffee. You look strong as fuck supporting your local artist. Yeah.
Yeah, so we got a Ko-fi page, and our coolest tier is the Hail Satan tier, and that's where you can give us any kind of shout out for $6.66 a month. We do have a subscriber to that tier. That is Tink, and Tink wants us to always remember free Palestine. Keep the people of Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine. Also,
Free
I wonder how many
Palestine.
people we turn off with the whole Hail Satan, because some people are like, nah, that's demonic. Yeah, and like they don't understand that we're doing it in like tongue-in-cheek fashion, and that you are also satanic, right? But like they misunderstand what Satanism actually is,
If you look at all the tiers on the Ko-fi page, it's very themed to the podcast. The first tier is $1.69, which is nice. The nice tier. Nice.
What about 156?
Oh yeah, I could do that. Yeah, I could do that.
And what about like 269, which is nice?
Right, yeah. But there's 169, which is nice, and then there's mid tier, but it's $4.20 a month. I think it's called Blaze It. That's what that one's called.
Blazing. Yeah.
Blaze It. And then the third tier is Hail Satan. So it's very on brand for what we do here. But
absolutely.
Yeah. We also do have a shop. If you check out our website, we do have some stuff up in the shop in terms of occult supplies. We are making more. We are forever in product development. And there is also merch for the podcast on there. So that is also another way to support us. We got some t-shirts and like, mugs and tumblers and stuff like that. The mugs actually turned out really well. The tote bags are good. Like I've ordered some merch as like sample stuff. And if any of you want anything, the people here that I'm talking to on these 4 blogs,
Mhm.
I do get a certain discounted amount of items every month that I can order. So if you want
I'd
like a
fucking love a
t-shirt,
t-shirt and a mug. Yeah,
yeah,
so I could like pop up the t-shirt and drink out of the mug while we're on the fucking thing instead of like whatever other mug I've been using.
yeah.
Are they tapered bottom ones like this? Because I really like the tapered bottom ones because I do single brew and it really
Nah,
holds the grounds in the bottom well.
they're just like standard
Standard
round.
round.
The flat
Yeah,
chunky
standard.
boy. Yeah.
But
Okay.
I could look too. It's a print-on-demand service that we have, so I could look
Mhm.
too. I could see there could be like a million other different mugs on there that I
If
might
there's
be
a
able to
tapered
slap
cup
the
like
logo
that,
on.
I will fuck that mug up and use it all goddamn time. Also, yeah, buy some Witches Betwixt merch so I can see somebody in public wearing it sometime and just shit my pants. Like literally just shit my pants on command right there.
You
It would
want to
be so
watch
much.
Sophia shit her pants? Buy a t-shirt.
Sing.
I would just, I would be so excited because I know, like, I'll be like coming home from school or going to school or something, and like I'm just like getting a video message from Sophia, like, oh my god, look, and there's just like some person I don't know, and they're like, look
Right.
at this shit.
I will be
You
the
know what we
creepy
could
guy,
do?
like.
We're actually really good at sigil designs and stuff that looks decidedly occult sells really well. What if we come up with like a sigil for the podcast that isn't just like, I know we did our Witches Betwixt one and that's why I'm referencing it because it absolutely fucks, right? What if we did like a big seal or something that you could like put on it that is almost like a brand logo, but also is esoteric as fuck, so people are gonna want to buy it, just like the way that Blackcraft does their shit with like, except
Honestly,
it'll actually have been our sigils that we'll have created. Will not just be appropriating Anton LaVey and fucking having him turn in his grave without these people
right.
knowing anything about Satanism or whatever.
Yeah,
We could
honestly,
do
like
something like
the
that.
logo that I made, like with it's basically like
That's a great
main
one
logo.
too.
Yeah.
But I'd like to get a really big seal because it looks super occult, and we can still have the logo in there with it, right?
Oh, you mean
But
like
like,
do
I
a
want to
seal
get
with
like
the
a
logo? Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
or
okay.
well, maybe even other stuff too, right? But I want some
Yeah.
like really super occult looking apparel because people will buy that shit like hotcakes just because they want to look like the biggest witch on the block. Like real
Also
talk, if we
cool.
want to make money, let's appeal to the people who like wearing a culture without actually knowing a shit ton about it, which is okay if you're that person. I'm not throwing shade at you, right?
But
Like
also,
fucking wear your Blackcraft hoodies and shit.
I was just thinking, you can also create legitimate magical stuff that way too. Because like you could like suppose it's going right to protection. It's always like the top of everyone's this protection, any protection.
Yeah,
Suppose you want
literally.
We all
protection, like
do, so it's like
you
kind of
know,
okay to go there.
right?
And you
But
could have
like
really cool ones like Community Protector that helps somebody protect their community, or ones to
right,
like
like create
actually make them
seal
more impervious.
shirts, steel merch. Okay,
Yeah, and have
yes.
like a fucking 6 of Mars stamped right below the person's neck on a hoodie, so like the hood flips down over it. But if
Mm,
someone's like popping shots at you, you got a fucking 6 of Mars right there.
yeah, like occult clothing that looks aesthetic but also serves a
But it's functional
function.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. That is a fantastic idea, and let's run with that because that is
Fuck
something
yeah.
I can more easily put together than other products.
And I've been doing fucking sigil work for a hot fucking minute, so if
Yeah,
y'all want any of my designs, I can absolutely fucking throw some shit together too.
that's a great idea. Well, you heard it here, folks. I know we talk about a lot of things on here that you heard it here, and then it takes forever for it to happen, but it will happen. But yeah,
It'd happen faster if we had more people donating to our Patreon. We could do this for a living instead of having to do our other jobs. Just saying.
It's very true. It's very true. Anything,
And then I could
anything
like get
helps.
some, and then I could I could also get all the stuff to make like occult oils and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
I can get you guys some like badass like shit.
Yes.
I
So,
even can make you my invisibility powder, which is amazing. But
but yeah, we've been blathering on for a while. We do have to. It is Mother's Day here, so we gotta go see moms. I said this last year on Mother's Day. I'll say it again. even if you don't know your mother, or maybe you don't have a good relationship with your mother, remember, you always have a mother, and that is Mother Gaia, Mother Earth, okay? So love your mother today, okay? In whatever
And
way
she's
that
watching.
means to you. Yes.
She's
hug a
watching
tree.
you litter. She's watching you throw those wet wipes in the parking lot repeatedly that are really hard to sweep up because they get stuck to my broom. And she's judging you while you do it. Stop fucking littering.
So pay some
Seriously.
respect to call your mother. Pay some respect to your mother today. All right, everyone. We are going to head out.